I supposedly have been up on that since March, but it's not showing up on the Sony Reader, and it's not showing up on Barnes & Noble Nook.
Have any of you read e-books? Do any of you
Oh,
read
yeah,
e-books?
I read and review e-books all the time.
Okay, so do you have an e-book reader?
No, I'm reading them off the computer because that doesn't bother me at all. But ultimately, of course, I will get a universal reader. And since you can now get apps for all sorts of things that allow you to read off other things, although I understand the Nook, the Barnes & Noble reader has some serious flaws that people have to be careful. And I can't tell you any more about that because I don't know. Something that I read
Could I ask you a hypothetical question?
Sure.
Your books are beginning to enjoy some success here. If a New York publisher came to you and said, Ms. Borger, we would love to publish you in hardcover, would you say absolutely?
Absolutely. So if any big publishers, anybody want to send me, buckets and buckets of interest, I would be happy to. One issue for me, however, is the electronic rights.
Yes.
That's a huge issue.
And that's a huge issue. Right now, the situation I have is I own the electronic rights. And that's a big deal for me.
And no big press is going to let you keep it.
That's
and
right.
no big press is going to let me keep them.
I don't care how strong your agent is.
Well, I don't have an agent right now either. So,
have you thought about looking for an agent?
I've had 3 agents.
Oh.
And
been there, done that.
been there, done that, and I've been unlucky so far.
Okay.
I don't know if the way I see it is everything that I know how to do is more to the plus side of if and when somebody comes along and makes this offer to me. Meanwhile, I'm very happy having control over how it goes up online and having, it's important to have it in paper too.
Well, Noden Press is a very fine
and
local press.
Yeah, I've been just delighted. Noden has been fabulous. Norton is a great guy.
He is.
And he really hustles in terms of promotion and selling and that sort of thing. And so I'm happy. If somebody came around and wanted to take over and
with big bucks,
with major league bucks, I'd give it thought.
Yes. Yeah, who wouldn't?
You know what?
Oh no, that was too fast.
Well, we can always have Judith.
I have some more questions here.
Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. This is really,
wonderful.
I'm delighted to be able to be here.
We love having you here at our round table.
And I loved your first book.
With your novel.
Thank you.
I'm assuming that I will love your second as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Me too. We'll be right back after a little audio change. Well, how about that? That's interesting because of course I'm really a supporter of hers because I agree absolutely that the difference that there are 2 separate audiences, and that if you're not paying attention to your electronic potential, you're in trouble.
I'm sure we all get. I'm sure that we all get letters from people saying, my books aren't all up any formats.
Well, and the other thing that's interesting, and I think you're wrong about whether you can control the electronic rights or not. I think if a major New York publisher wants those rights as part of the contract, they ought to pay a considerable amount more in terms of the advance or something.
They don't.
Well, then I think good agents, and I know that Simon & Schuster, for example, has let electronic rights for several authors' new books go because they're not willing to pay what the author or the agent thinks they're worth. So it's an interesting
I think that's going to happen.
It's another change that's occurring in our life.
More and more authors are going to want to.
I thought when I got into this business, well, write a book, agent, publisher. Okay, and then that'll all take care of itself, and then I'll write another book and send it on. Turns out you got to deal with all this stuff.
It's a business.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Didn't we all think that was the
Didn't
way
we
it was
all
going
think?
to
Yes,
be?
that's right.
Any last words? Of course, we're beginning to wind down here. Any last words about character and development and things like that?
Oh, there's so much to say.
Oh, I know, I know.
Well,
I was just going to say, my favorite characters are the ones who come to me full blown. I
You see them.
I hear how they speak. They have a name. All of those. It doesn't happen often, but I love those characters.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions that often comes up. Not only where do you get your characters, but are these characters real in your mind when you're working with them in a book, or is this just something that you say, okay, I want a new character to do something?
You know, my main characters are always very real. As I write the book, for me, and this is just for me, the new characters that I'm working with come alive. But it takes me the entire book to really feel like I have a handle on who they are. I know that's not the way you work, but it is.
And do you hear their voices?
I begin to, but not right away.
Sometimes, in fact, it's the voice that tells you who the character is. If I'm having difficulty getting a handle on a character, I'll have that character in a conversation with Cork O'Connor, for example, who I know very well, and what they say to each other, and particularly what's not said sometimes, reveals a lot to me about who this character is.
And so, do you sometimes do those conversations in a way, in a situation which you're not necessarily going to use them in the book?
Yeah.
Just in order to get a better handle?
Well, I usually have a sense of particularly some conflict, so some moment when there's going to be tension, which is, I think, and you've often said this, is when people most fully reveal themselves.
Right.
So usually, I guess it does have something to do with the story.
But conceivably, you could set up a scenario just in order to give yourself a better sense of
That's
characters.
possible, and in fact, it may
Yeah.
have occurred. I'm just not thinking of it.
Yeah, I can.
That's it. We're done.
Whoa.
I want to thank Judith, Ellen, Kent. Additional information about the Crime Wave is available, of course, at our website, www.minnesotacrimewave.org. There you'll find links to previous programs, you can learn about the books we've written, and you can subscribe to our occasional newsletter, which is now electronic. If you want more information about our topics and about our people we have as guests on the program, email us, minnesotacrimewave@yahoo.com. Be sure to mention the number of the program that you're writing about. This one happens to be program number 31. So we'll see you next time. And as always, do read more crime fiction and learn more about what's going on. Thank you, guys.